Hello folks, welcome to this video. Today we will discuss the event loop in JavaScript and asynchronous JavaScript. So what is asynchronous JavaScript and what is event loop? So this is the topic we are going to discuss today. So but before going down to this event loop session, we first need to know something more advanced, something advanced. So what are the things we have to know in advance? First, we need to know how the JavaScript is work. What is call stack and how does this call stack work with JavaScript? What does mean single threaded programming language? And then why is JavaScript is disaster when it comes to rendering an actual web page? So these are the previous subtopics we need to know before going to discuss about asynchronous JS and event loop. And more other things are like these are the agenda we today we are like to talk. First, we already said how we are going to cover how JavaScript work. Then why asynchronous? That is the same as why JavaScript is a disaster when it comes rendering a actual web page. What are the APIs we are using for this particular event loop session? What is callback queue and event loop? And all after this, we are talk about what is micro task queue. So we now going to next slide. How does JS work? JavaScript work? Okay, JavaScript is a single threaded programming language. JavaScript is a single threaded scriptural programming language. What does that mean? Is that is meant what that is mean the JavaScript programming can only handle one work at a time. Briefly, the JavaScript can't work multitasking system. Let get one example. Now we are define three functions in JavaScript language, programming language. The JavaScript is actually call that function and execute and those function each one at a one time per one time. Like we talk about just function A, function B, function 3. JavaScript can only execute first function A or function A, then function B, then function C. JavaScript can't execute same time function A, B, C. This is called single threaded programming language. So JavaScript can't work in a multitask manner. So how does this JavaScript work with call stack? In before that, what is call stack? So what is call stack? The call stack is a data structural stack that built in with the JavaScript engine. What is JavaScript engine? JavaScript engine is a, a package holder that have JavaScript call stack and some inbuilt functions. So in this JavaScript engine, there is a stack, that stack called call stack. This is a data structural stack. When we run any kind of piece of code with a JavaScript engine, it will call by call stack, line by line. Okay, then execute, that means pop out of that stack each and every task. So this is very complicated when I am telling in my telling. So let's see an example with help of this web page called loop. So we can go to the loop function, loop. So I will go to okay, this is the website. This is the website. So I clean this code. This is the website that I will tell before loop. So this website, how this website work, so briefly explain this. This is a sandbox for JavaScript code, and then we paste here JavaScript code. When we hit save and run button, there is some systematical thing happen all over here. So just first we focus about this call stack only. Forget about this web APIs, callback queue, this circular thing or other else. So first we talk about this call stack, how JavaScript work with call stack. Okay, in order to do that, I have to get some example code. So I am already done some sort of code. So I just copy and paste here. So let copy this code. I will paste here. So this is the simple code for function in JavaScript. So what firstly I tell about this code, this code, what this code actually do. So this code defines three functions. First one is a event 1, second one is a event 2, and third one is a event 3. Each these functions simply logs a string to the console using console log statement. Okay, console log. The three function calls at the end of the code, like here, end of the code, these three functions are called out. The order is event 1 and then event 2, then event 3. So simply call each of us function is sequence. When you run this code, the output to the console will be like here. I will just type and out when you run this code, the output to the console will be look like this: start, then next line fetch, and then next line so I will delete this. So this is because each of the function logs a different string to the console, and the function calls are executed in the order that they appear in the code, like event 1, then event 2, and event 3. So event 1 is called first, which logs the string start to the console. Then event 2 is called, which logs the string fetch to the console. Finally, the event 3 is called, which logs the strings to show to the console. After that, the function, this code will be terminated. So this is the simple explanation of what this code will do. So now now we are look how this call stack work with this code. First we are just watch what happened to this call stack. Okay, I will hit the 7 run button. Just watch. Okay, this is a little bit speed, so you can't catch up with that. So I'll just increase decrease the speed. Okay, decrease the speed. Now I will resume that. Hit the 7 run. You can watch what happened with the call stack. Okay, so now you are getting something little bit about what happened with this call stack. So now now I will explain one by one clearly. So okay, I am just run the code. Okay, I will pause. So what happened here, when the code is executed, the following sequence of events are happens. So I will explain one by one. The first function called event1 is pushed into the stack called stack. Okay, that is happen already happened. Within the event1, the code will code will executed the console log statement. So the console log statement put it into the push to this call stack. Okay. So which event one is the console log start statement is executed, which log the string to start console. After the string log into the console log start are popped out. Then after that, event one returns and popped out of the call stack. Okay, popped out the call stack. Then okay, then the second function call, that is, what is second function? Event2. Event2 is called and pushed into the call stack. Within the event2, the console log fetch statement is executed, which logs into the string fetched into the console. After this fetch into the console like fetch statement in this call stack is pop out. After this pop out, the event2 is returns. So and is it is also pop out of the call stack. Console log pop out and then event2 pop out. After that, event3 console log. After that, the third function call, that is a event3, is pushed onto the call stack. Then the within event 3, the console log show statement is executed. Over these are executed, which log the string show to the console. After the string show console log into the console, that is pop out from call stack. Then event 3 returns. So then after that, event 3 is also pop out to the call stack. So after that, this piece of code is terminated. So what is the thing? The JavaScript is a single threaded language. So JavaScript handle one function at a time. JavaScript handle the same time event 1 or event 2 or event 3 at the same time. So if we need to if we need to delay the event 2 function, execution of event 2 function, we can't do that with basic JavaScript engine. Why? If we want to delay the execution of event 2, delaying execution of event 2 is also an event. So we have to manage event 2 execution delaying at the same time execution of event 3. We can't do with simple basic JavaScript engine. So we can show another I can show another example for this call stack, how call stack work. I just put up a little bit complicated code. So just copy this code, control C, just copy this code. So this is the code. So firstly, as usual, I will explain what this piece of code do. So this code is defined three functions. What are the three functions? Multiply, square, get square. Okay, the first multiply a comma b, which takes two arguments. What are the arguments? A comma b, a and b arguments, and return their product. Return their product. Okay, the second function square n, which takes a number n as an argument and return its square by calling multiply function. Calling this will return the square of n by calling the multiply function. The third function get square n, which takes a number n as an argument and calls square n to calculate the square of n. Call the square of n to calculate the square of n, and then that square of n stored in a variable squared, then it will print to the console by console log, using console log statement. So when square, after that we call the get square function with argument as a 4. So when get square 4 is called, it to pass the argument 4 to get square, which then calls the square 4. Square n, we replace n by 4, call the square n. The square 4 is to turn calls multiply, we replace the n with 4. This is called multiply with the 4. Then multiply 4 comma 4 returns 16. That will come to square n, that will come to get square n, that will store into squared. That squared is a console print console in with using console log statement. Finally 16 is printed to the console using console log. So output of this code when run will be 16. So we just, so this is this piece of code will do. Then we look how this work with the call stack. First we just watch what happened with the call stack. Okay, now I am going to explain step by step. Okay, I hit the save and run button. Okay. When get square 4 is called, the following sequence of events happen with this call stack. First, the get square function is pushed onto the call stack. So we call this get square 4. So this get square function is pushed into the call stack first in. Then within get square, the square function is called with the argument 4. The function in get square function is called. So sorry about the so first the get square function is pushed onto the call stack. Within the get square, the square function is called with the argument 4. Square function called with the argument 4. Then the square function pushed into the call stack. Within the square function, the multiply function is called with the arguments 4 and 4. Then after that, the multiply function is pushed onto the call stack. The multiply function return the product of that argument. What is the argument now? 4 and 4. The multiply function is pop. Then the a into b is executed. So that is popped off the. So the a into b, that is 4 into 4 is executed. That that will log into the console. After that, that 4 into 4, that product of multiplies argument are pop of the call stack. After pop of the call stack, the square function returns result of multiply 4 and 4, which is 16. So the multiply function is pop of the call stack, pop off from call stack. Then after that, the square function is pop off the call stack, because the square function is also returned. So square function is also pop off. After that, at last, with a get square, the result of square 4 is stored in a squared variable. The console log squared is called, and the result of squared, which is 16, is printed to the console. So what happened? The console log squared is pushed into the call stack. So after pushed into the call stack, the console log is print into the console. After that, the that statement of console log squared is pop off from call stack. So now the function get squared in is all of out of returns. So there is no work for the get square 4. So that get square 4 also pop off from this call stack. Then after that, this piece of code will terminate. So this is how our basic JavaScript engine work. Now there is so many troubles in that single threaded handling of JavaScript. What if we just think about, we are just go to any part of, now going to like this website. Okay, okay, multi downloader, this URL, we are going to this website. So there is so many JavaScript piece of coding in this web page, but just think about that. If the JavaScript engine is single threaded, so JavaScript is actually done only can do one work at a time. So if the YouTube multi downloader online, this piece of string is render here, after that this piece of text render, after that this piece of box render. These are the single components of that code. If you can imagine, you the function will or and the event will come to the order how we declare in that JavaScript piece of code. So in order to do that, the JavaScript first will render this, after that this, after this, after this. Okay, but if there are any if so when we so if we execute this code, so when we execute that code, it usually executed one by one. So first this string will render, then this box will render, then after this box will render, then after other parts will render. So but for the reason, if we have to get data in this box from another place, like from API, so we have to get some of the data for this box from external source, another place, then it may be delayed to get that information. So that could have to happen. So get be delayed to get that information. If that happens, what should be rendered below it will not rendered. So if that thing is delayed for this part of the rendering, then there is no rendering here, because the JavaScript handle what are the event ordered. So what will happen, if that happens, what should be rendered below it will not be rendered, because JavaScript will only do one job at a time. So after all the figs are rendered in the second interview, then after this box will render. So what will happen, we have to wait this thing fully rendered, and after that we have to see the rendering of this box. But in this actual world, this will be a disaster. We have to work flawlessly like multitasking. This link will load take that on time, but we have to render all of the below the parts. So what will do now, what will we do now? So what will we do now? So how can this be avoided, and how to solve such errors by embedding multi-threaded functions in JavaScript? So only now event loop, callback queue, web APIs are coming into this field. So next we can talk about web. What are the web APIs there? The web, what will they do? Actually, they do. So we can look about how web APIs are work in next videos. Okay, thank you for